Amazing Grace Reimagined. What if your self-forgiveness reshapes the world? Giving ourselves grace when we disappoint ourselves might be the hardest thing we do each day. It's easy to extend compassion outward, to our clients, our family, even strangers. But inward, that's often where our kindness ends. This morning I woke to the sound of Amazing Grace. Not the traditional version, though that too has held me through seasons of ache, but a haunting holy blend sung by Caitlin Curtis, set to the tune of House of the Rising Sun. And it cracked me open. Something about that fusion, a sacred lament woven with a gritty blues-soaked melody, reminds me that redemption is rarely tidy. Sometimes grace arrives raw, raspy, and wrapped in the remnants of old wounds. As I listened, I remembered a line I read recently that stopped me in my tracks. Do you realize that the rest of the world can feel every act of cruelty you inflict upon yourself? And if that's true, if the world trembles under the weight of my self-punishment, then I must also believe the opposite. That every act of grace I extend to myself becomes a balm to the collective. That when I forgive myself for the things I should have done differently, when I release the shame I've hoarded like currency, when I choose softness instead of self-scolding, that energy echoes outward. And not in some abstract, intangible way, but in a real, felt shift in the fabric of the world that we share. When you choose grace, it doesn't just soften your story, it shifts the collective script. Your gentleness becomes a map, a mirror, a balm. A client breathes deeper because you didn't weaponize their mistake. A team member feels safe to tell the truth because you modeled it first. A friend forgives themselves because you said out loud, "I'm learning too." Grace is how we recalibrate culture. It's how we whisper new truths into the bones of old systems. It's how we change the world, one unpunished breath at a time. And yes, sometimes grace means extending forgiveness to others too. Not because they've earned it, but because we're done sipping from a poisoned cup. But let me be clear, I don't believe in the forget part of forgive and forget. Not for the big betrayals, and not for the death by 1,000 small cruelties. Forgiveness is about liberation, not erasure. Grace and grit, that's what this song makes me think of. Amazing Grace, set to House of the Rising Sun, holds both church and shadow. Holy light and hard-won fight. It doesn't ask us to choose between softness and strength. It invites us to embody both. And isn't that the calling of entrepreneurship? To be the visionary and the vessel? To offer the tenderness of grace in the teeth of grit? To love your people and enforce your boundaries? To rest deeply and rise when the moment demands your roar? We flow between these states not because we're confused, but because we're wise. Because business is not a binary. Because wholeness has layers. To live and lead this way is to speak the native tongue of wholeness. It's not weakness, it's fluency. And grace? Grace is the root note, the vibration we return to when all else falls away. Grace isn't something we have to earn, but what is it? Maybe it's a frequency we were born to remember. Maybe it's the echo of our original wholeness. Maybe it's a protest song or a love song, a call home, all of the above and in one single breath. Today I'm choosing to visit grace upon myself, not as an excuse, not as avoidance, but as an act of deep devotion. Because I believe in a world where forgiveness heals more than just the forgiver. And I believe it starts with me. And it starts with you. Even now. Especially now. Today's daily affirmation. Grace meets me in the quiet, where no apology is needed to be worthy of love. I cradle my imperfections like wildflowers, delicate, resilient, and wholly alive. With each breath, I make room for softness to lead. My heart remembers what my mind forgets. I am already whole. Forgiveness flows through me like a river, gentle, honest, and deeply free. Postscript. Profit is protest, and so is grace. The more gentleness we embody, the more revolution we seed. I think you already know what the song of the day is. It's Amazing Grace by Caitlin Curtis. You can't find this one on Spotify, sadly, but I'll make sure to link her Facebook video because you need to hear this one for yourself. Enjoy!